Cowboys trade rumors are heating up, and Sunday Night Football against the San Francisco 49ers feels like a last-ditch effort to save their season, and maybe they could bring in some ammunition to help them get a W in that game. So we'll break that down and much more in this episode of Cowboys Digest. Welcome in, everybody, to Cowboys Digest. I'm your host, Peter Vryonis. Still a little bit under the weather today, but bear with me. My voice is, I don't know if it's getting better or worse. I can't really hear it from your perspective, but I hope you all enjoy the video. And before we get into it, I want to let you know that around 85% of you watching these are not subscribed to the channel, so go ahead, hit that sub button. It would mean the world to me because we're very close to my goal of 2,000 subscribers. But guys, let's not waste any time here. Let's get straight into the video. And the Dallas Cowboys need help on the defensive line. That has been very well documented. And they've been hit hard with injuries, seeing Micah Parsons, DeMarcus Lawrence, and Marshawn Kneeland all miss time. Jerry Jones has been slow to make moves this year, but if he wanted to address this concern, he could have an excellent option in Chase Young. Now, if you don't know, Chase Young is the defensive end right now, edge rusher on the New Orleans Saints, and Christopher Knox of Bleacher Report has the New Orleans Saints as sellers heading into the trade deadline, with Young standing out as someone who could be on the block. If so, he says the Cowboys would be the best fit for Young due to their injuries on the defensive line. He also has ties to the team, having worked for defensive line coach Jeff Zgonina for 2 years. Okay, I guess I'm saying that right. Correct me if I'm wrong in the comments down below. And the Dallas Cowboys, who are dealing with the injuries of DeMarcus Lawrence and Micah Parsons, should also be interested. Cowboys defensive line coach Jeff Zgonina, I think I got it, coached Young with the Commanders in 2022 and 2023. And that was Christopher Knox of Bleacher Report, as well, of course. And I find it interesting that Jerry Jones used to care about the Dallas Cowboys winning, as the headline there in the middle of those two paragraphs. But yeah, Chase Young is definitely an interesting name to keep an eye on here. And Young was the second overall pick in the 2020 NFL Draft and won the NFL Defensive Rookie of the Year award after posting 7.5 sacks. He has yet to consistently repeat the success he had as a rookie, but is still more than capable of generating pressure and setting the edge against the run. He's also on a one-year deal, meaning the commitment from Dallas wouldn't be too long. So this is where it gets interesting for me. So I understand the Cowboys want to help themselves immediately and want to get some immediate relief in the trade market. I get that. But does giving up draft assets for a one-year deal really make sense for a team that has numerous holes on their roster? I get Chase Young is a good player, but when DeMarcus Lawrence and Micah Parsons get back, where does he slide in? I don't think he does. I mean, obviously he'll play some sets every now and then, or maybe you can move Micah Parsons to linebacker. That would be amazing, by the way. I would love to see Micah Parsons play linebacker every single down, but I'll digress on that point as well. Where does he fit in if you have two all-pro level edge rushers already? That is a question that needs to be answered, and they will be back this season, barring another setback with their current injuries that they have. So Chase Young is definitely a need, but where does he fit in after that? And he's just rotting away on your bench, paying him millions of dollars for the rest of the season, and you lose him for nothing at the end of the year because he's clearly lost in the shuffle. So is it worth giving up I would say a 5th-round pick? It would probably be a 5th-round pick to get Chase Young. He was traded for a 3rd last year by the Commanders to the San Francisco 49ers. So maybe it would be a 4th or 5th, my guess this time around. But it's definitely an interesting conversation to be had. But I don't know if he would necessarily want to come to this situation or stay in this situation if he sees a clear logjam at his position. You can see here he hasn't really started a game in a year and a half, and that's because of this. Sorry about that. That is because of this injury right here, where he had a procedure on his neck surgery. And this is an article by Eric Edholm. It was written back in March, so don't get alarmed. This is not something that happened recently to Chase Young, but he he's been eased his way back in. He's eased his way back in here, and he has played in every game so far this season for the New Orleans Saints, but he hasn't started in any of them. So maybe that is a bit of a warning sign for some of you. But if we go back to the playoff run for the San Francisco 49ers, he was acquired to be a crucial part of their team down the stretch of the season. And you see he didn't start a game either for San Francisco in the regular season. But I think that was another case of them just easing him in there. And we could see that. His stats right there. In the playoffs, he started every single game, came up with a sack, 8 combined tackles, 6 solo tackles, so very solid there. No doubt about that. And Chase Young is a guy. Chase Young is a guy that would definitely help out this Cowboys pass rush, especially with the absence of Micah Parsons and DeMarcus Lawrence. So there's definitely some benefits to trading for him. It would make a world of sense to go out and acquire him. But you got to do your due diligence as well. Is this the right situation to bring in a defensive end where, when healthy, that is not really a huge position of need for you with DeMarcus Lawrence and Micah Parsons? So there are some conversations to be had here. I don't mind it, though. I really don't mind it because, as we see here, he was second overall pick in the 2020 NFL Draft, so he's clearly got the talent. He won Defensive Rookie of the Year after posting 7.5 sacks, and he's been back to that level, but he hasn't exceeded it. And my guess, at 24 years old now, I don't know if he ever gets back to that level, or 25 years old. Sorry. So it's I would like to see him in a Dallas uniform, especially against a team that is definitely going to try to run the ball against them in the San Francisco 49ers. Just don't know if the deal could get done that quickly, but still, like, the teams know the MO against the Dallas Cowboys. It is to run the football, and bringing in a veteran like Chase Young, can't believe I'm calling him a veteran, but he is at this point. Bringing in a guy like Chase Young, who is ultra talented, who has a track record of success at the National Football League level, I think that pays dividends, and that allows you to play a certain way if you're Mike Zimmer and the rest of the Cowboys defense. But again, my concern is not giving up draft capital to get him. It's where does he fit when everyone else comes back? And does he look at this situation and say, I have no interest in staying here if I'm going to be a secondary guy, if I'm going to be lost in the shuffle to Micah Parsons and DeMarcus Lawrence? So that to me is the main concern here. And again, I don't know if it's smart for the Cowboys to give up draft capital for an expiring contract in a year where their team has so many different holes. And I don't think any one specific individual can save them from missing the playoffs or from losing early in the playoffs if they do manage to squeak in. I don't know how the rest of the season is going to play out. I mentioned it in yesterday's video. I am never rooting for this team to lose. Don't get it twisted. I never want the Cowboys to lose. But I can't see them winning meaningful football games when it matters most, especially not with a roster like this. So that to me is the warning sign right there. I can't see them being successful with this current group of players, and anytime they've had a chance to prove me wrong against good football teams, they've come up short. They've gotten absolutely annihilated, and the Saints aren't even a good football team. That was a team that embarrassed the Dallas Cowboys at home with 6 straight touchdowns on 6 straight possessions. So there's a lot of work to be done on this roster. Jerry Jones needs to wake up here, because he's sleeping at the wheel, and he's trying to sell this fake notion to the fan base that they're all in. They're clearly not all in. There is clearly a lot that needs to be done with this roster, and Jerry refuses to address some of those concerns. But that'll wrap it up for this episode of Cowboys Digest. Again, guys, thanks so much for bearing with me with my voice. Hopefully it'll be back tomorrow, and I'll be firing on all cylinders. But until then, go Cowboys, and I will see you all tomorrow.